Look, it's been nice talking to you this morning. We've had a great time prior to the show, so see you next week. How's that?
Yeah, that's right. Nothing left to add. How
Nothing
are you,
left to
Mike?
talk
How's
about,
things?
right?
And a happy
Yeah.
Wednesday to you.
Yeah, well, hey, before we get going, I heard a rumor that we do have a birthday, and it is not from someone who has or has had a last name of Connor.
Amazing. Da-da-da-da-da-da. You say it's your birthday. And whose birthday is it? Our dear friend Rebecca Smith.
Yes,
Rebecca,
yes.
happy birthday. May this be a year filled with blessings and joy, and may you get to experience every good thing in the world. You certainly deserve it. Of course, I'm not including my visit in August, which, is the good news and the bad news, but I can't wait to give you a big hug then.
There you go. And of course, Rebecca is married to Bill Smith, who is both of them have been great friends through the years. I've known them now. I met Bill and Rebecca in 1999. So
Wow.
we've seen a lot of birthdays together, but Bill is most notable in my mind for being the treasurer of Join to Hashem, and has done
Yes.
that for 20 years now. Has never asked for anything in return, and I'm so appreciative to him and to Rebecca. So
Wonderful people.
yeah,
Wonderful.
all right. Talking about treasury, are you guys adjusting the shekel for our Connect Israel tour? Is that what you're doing?
Really, I spoke to our Minister of Finance,
Hmm.
Bezalel Smotrich, and when people say, by the way, I have trouble pronouncing your name, Chanoch, I say, oh, our finance minister is Bezalel Smotrich. So,
Yeah,
put that in your pipe and smoke it. And I
yeah.
said, listen, Mike Clayton has been, bringing groups for years. We really need to do something that makes it better on budget. So the shekel keeps suffering compared to the dollar. For those who've been to Israel, you'll relate to this a little more. But for years, the dollar, was running about, let's say, 3.4,
Yeah.
3.5 shekels, give or take.
Hmm.
Well, recently, it went up to 3.73. And as of today, it's 3.61.
Hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean that things are cheaper here for us.
Oh no.
It's quite the opposite. There was a lengthy article. I didn't want to throw it all in because we've got a lot of things to talk about today, about the percentage of cost increase in Israel among basic commodities, the types of things that people buy all the time. So it's a big shockaroo.
Yeah.
But part of that is because seemingly the world, the outside world, is nervous, again, put that in quotes in italics, about the proposed judicial reform,
Mm.
which, by the way, is being negotiated. And the Biden administration, I would say bless their hearts, even if I meant it sarcastically, and I
Mm.
don't, is doing everything they can to undercut Israel.
Yeah.
You had Kamala Harris make a stupid remark yet again, but this time about Israel regarding judicial reform. Our minister for the diaspora, Chickley, was in New York for it's no longer called the Salute to Israel Parade. It's the Celebrate Israel Parade in New York. And some unnamed source in the Biden administration criticized him and claimed he didn't understand the American Jewish diaspora. How and why on earth would anyone in the Biden administration have a reason, let alone a right, to comment on that? But
Yeah.
that's just ongoing stupidity. So that undercuts Israel economically in the same way that as America is pursuing secret negotiations with Iran for some kind of crippled nuclear deal, at the same time they're trying to weaken Israel so Israel doesn't create an uproar over America selling us out yet again regarding Iran, because a
Mm.
relief of sanctions would flood Iran with billions of dollars again, which means that missiles and terrorists all around us would have their coffers enriched, which is insane.
Yeah, it really is. For those that are not familiar with exchange rates, so 3.5, 3.6, somewhere in there is kind of the norm. I saw it during the Oslo Wars, 2003, I think it was. It actually went to 4-1. So at 4-1, a it takes you 25 cents American to buy
Per
a
shekel. Yeah,
shekel.
yeah,
Um, at 3.6, it's what, around 30 cents or something like that? Or
approximately.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the good news is for those that give to Israel right now, and our ministry tries to do everything we can. This is a great time to be sending funds to Israel because the exchange
Absolutely.
rate is just a little bit better. Get a little bit more out, a little bit more bang for your buck, and so
Absolutely. That's a
yeah,
great point, Mike. Thank
yeah.
you. A
So,
great
and
point.
you have you said something about weather coming in. I haven't even been watching the
Okay.
weather. It's usually
One
boring
of
this year.
one
It's
of
just hot.
one of my standard jokes in my stable of jokes is telling people if they're going to come to Israel during the summer, I can save them data on their phones by assuring them they don't need to look at the weather report
Yeah,
because in the summer
yeah,
we only have one of three weather reports. You've heard me say this many times. It's either sunny and hot, sunny and very hot, or sunny and extremely very hot. And
yes.
everybody laughs. We all know about the early rains and the latter
Mhm.
rains. The latter rains, Malkosh in Hebrew, end after Pesach. So basically, the potential rainy season doesn't always rain then, we know. The potential rainy season in Israel is from November through April.
Mhm.
And early November, as we've experienced on our tours, very little rain. There was a
Yeah,
lot of rain
usually.
the end of March this year.
And
Well, guess what?
we actually schedule that to where the rain
Yes,
is actually delayed until after our tour,
yes.
hopefully.
Figuring we're going to leave Hanoch and he's going to handle it for us.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about it. Now, when I'm guiding for Tourist Israel, I'm up at 4:30 in the morning and I get home at 7:45 at night. So I'm really tired. I don't have much guiding because here's another side. Well, we'll get to the side note about tourism in a moment.
Mhm.
I depend heavily on my sleep on Shabbat. I go to bed Friday night. I begin to sleep what I call the sleep of the dead. When you start off on your back just to relax and you begin to hear yourself snore. I mean, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Okay. Shabbat morning, I'm woken up at 6 o'clock by thunder. And I'm
Hmm.
thinking, no, no, no. It can't be thunder because it's the end of May, beginning of June. No, no, no. This is June. No, 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 no. Can't be. So I look out and I see lightning. And I'm thinking, it's the end of the world as we know it.
The plagues are here.
And, and it rained in Modi'in, rained very heavily in Jerusalem. There
Wow.
was a flood in Tel Aviv. This is on Shabbat.
Huh.
So yesterday, I'm recounting this to people I'm guiding on the Christian Jerusalem / Jesus in Jerusalem tour. By the way, there are two different names for the same tour. Why, I have no idea. And I'm joking that, you know, we have no idea why we had such an anomaly. And then it started to rain. This is yesterday. So we're on Mount Zion because I took them to see the room of the Last Supper
Mhm.
on Mount Zion. And we got drenched
Wow.
walking from there to Mamila. And it's global warming, it's patterns. There was a major dust storm in Eilat where flights had to be canceled going in and out because they couldn't see.
Hmm.
Very odd, very odd. Okay, my segue to tourism. I had taken people to the one of the churches, actually a lot of churches on the Mount of Olives, Pater Noster. That is where the Avinu prayer, Our Father who art in heaven. Uh, by the way, great anecdote. You're explaining that the wording follows classic Hebrew prayer.
Yeah.
When we say the prayer for the state of Israel, Avinu Shabashamayim, our Father who is in the heavens.
Yeah.
This is classic. And one person said, wow, that is such a coincidence that our Christian prayers, no, that your Jewish prayers should be similar to our Christian prayers.
Yeah. Mm.
So, and this is after explaining, and it's a big shock for them when I mention Yeshua's name is Yeshua. So I'll say Yeshua. I know you've always heard his name is Jesus. His mother Miriam, not Mary, called him Yeshua. So you see Yeshua, and so like, and I'm trying to frame it in the context that here's Yeshua in the first century land of Israel under Roman occupation, teaching Torah to other Jews. And they're all nodding. And it's only after I hear a remark like that when I said, in one ear and out the other.
Yeah.
But so I'm at Paternoster and I'm talking to the staff there because I was there a week ago, and the place you couldn't fit a postcard. There were so many
Wow.
people. But tourism has already fallen off dramatically in Israel.
Yeah.
It's not just my personal tourist business, but mid-June through August are miserable times to be in Israel.
Yeah.
That's why we've never done our Connect to Israel tour. People have asked, and I understand people who are in the teaching profession who only have summers off. I get it. But
I went to, I had a tour in 2005 we did in June. And that's the last tour. That's the first and last tour that I will do in June, I think. We went to Masada and Getty, all that area, and it was just brutal. I mean, it was just bad.
thanks to the wonders of Facebook memories, it pulled up a picture of me guiding a group at Ein Gedi for Tourist Israel 4 years ago, and it was 117. It was 47 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, yeah.
Unbelievable. Anyway,
I think my record down there is like 123 or something. It was crazy. But hey, speaking of Connect Israel tour, Hanok, we have some news on the tour, and that is that we are 2 people from being an absolute full tour. Now, we have a tour. Okay, we have plenty of people to go, but
we've known that for months. Yeah,
yeah,
we've known that for
yeah,
months.
but
But this is
we
good
have
news.
we have 2 slots available. From there, I will take a waiting list for anyone that would like to be a part, and from that point on, they can email us for 2024. It looks like, but we have some
Yeah.
amazing people going on the tour. And it's someone called me the other day and said, "Now I just want to make sure, do you do multiple buses?" And I started laughing. I said, "No, I'm not into circuses. I went to a circus when I was a child. I'm not into this thing." And so I said, we don't even fill up one bus because we want this to be a personal time. So I found, as you have, that you can put 52 people on a bus, but you cannot put 52 Americans' luggage on a bus.
Not a chance of that happening.
Not a way. No way. No way. So anybody, we got 2 slots available. All right. Hey, let's turn the corner here. There is
Yes.
a Torah portion that we're looking at together this week. And let's just say it's not the best day for the Hebrews in the wilderness.
Well, let's just say when you look through the Tanakh, the Hebrew Bible, you find tremendous opportunities, tremendous chances for people to step up and step forward.
Yeah.
And as human beings, one mess up after the other. And we suffer for it to this day. There's something you mentioned right before we went on the air relating to sins. And I don't want to steal your thunder and paraphrase it. So why don't you just hop in with it, Mike?
Yeah, so in Bamidbar, Numbers 14, it says that I will visit the sins of the generation on the generations in every generation, I believe it is, to paraphrase a little bit. And so, is it possible that what we see through history, even today, is the visitations of the Almighty upon each generation in order for us to say, no, the sin of the spies will not continue in my generation and through my generation?
You know, it's whether it's that particular sin or whether it's a variation on the theme.
Hmm.
And we were just talking about this before, and just yesterday, I had the opportunity to visit with our dear friend Udi Merotz,
Oh,
who was showing two new photographs that he has.
mm,
Remember those pictures that Udi has of the bulldozer clearing away the debris in front of the Western Wall Plaza in June 1967? Udi
yeah,
is a kid, 9 years old.
yeah.
Well, he has been in touch over all these years with the son of the guy that drove the bulldozer. And
Okay.
he sent Udi original pictures of what that looked like right before it happened. So I'm going to take pictures of it from Udi's pictures and I'll try to post them up on Facebook. But June 1967,
I need
56
to
years
I need
ago,
to make room in my house for another Udi painting. Oh,
he has a few new ones. I don't want to say, but he has a few. Um, 56 years ago, as of 2.5 weeks ago, the 6 Day War. Professor Dan Bahat, who was in charge of all the archaeological excavations in the Western Wall tunnels,
mhm,
in a conversation I had with him a few years ago, he made a reference to it that we gave away a once in 1,000 year opportunity
yeah,
by surrendering the Temple Mount. And I posted a picture a few days ago of Israeli soldiers lounging on the Temple Mount in front of the Dome of the Rock. And I said, 56 years ago, we never should have come down. And someone wrote in a comment saying, well, Israel's still in control. And I said, in theory, but not in practice.
yeah, yeah,
Someone asked me recently, I think I mentioned this last week, of so when is Israel going to take over Bethlehem again?
yeah, yeah.
That
These things, yeah.
that and then I can respond with, and when will Israel return to Gaza?
Mhm.
2005, Israel unilaterally withdrew, pulled 9,000 Jews from their homes, and what we have had since is close to 35,000 rockets and missiles
Yeah,
fired at us.
yeah,
Um, so it's not the same sin, but when we are given our free will, we really have to choose a lot better.
yeah, yeah.
And these sins that were committed, I mean, Moshe Dayan, our Minister of Defense in 1967, didn't call me up in the Bronx and say, yo, Hanoch, what should I do?
Yeah.
Now, we look back on it and say he should have, because even as an 11-year-old, I would have given him better advice
Well,
than he himself had.
I'm thinking that if he'd have called Mir Kahana, that history might have been a little different.
Well, it's there are so many anecdotes
Hmm.
I can tell you of Rav Kahan. And there was one when I studied with him. It was a JDL leadership program in 1976 here in Israel. And there was an organization at the time called Gush Emonim, which means the Block of the Faithful. These were Jewish men, women, and children throughout Judea and Samaria who were establishing Jewish communities.
Wow.
So the early communities like Elon Moreh, Ofra, this all came from this organization, Gush Emonim, all Dati Leumi, national religious Jews.
Wow.
They were going to have a hitnachlut, a settlement attempt, quote unquote. Again, I don't use the term settlement, but that's what they were saying at the time, near Jericho, near Jericho.
Yeah.
This is the summer of 1976. And
Mm.
Rav Kahana said, we're not having class tomorrow. You guys are all going to go and you're going to help support Gush Emunim, and you're going to help either establish this new settlement or
Oh.
get dragged away by the police or whatever it is. And we did. Oh, by the way, Israeli police weren't used to that, kind of like football fake, where you step left and then roll right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the guy caught me at the back of yeah, it was, anyway.
Painful.
But the reason he gave, because, I mean, there were Jewish communities around Jericho.
Hmm.
This is 1976. He said, because if there aren't more Jews there, one day a government of Israel will surrender this to
Yeah.
the Arabs. Now, we went and did it, but we were looking at each other saying, seriously? Does he really think that we're going to give this up? And 17 years later,
Yeah.
1993, Oslo Accords,
Hmm.
Jericho is one of the first places given over to what is now called the so-called Palestinian Authority. So it's unbelievable. We are constantly provided with opportunities. The idea of the spies, and actually a better term is scouts. These are
Well,
scouts.
yeah.
They went in to scout out the land.
Yeah. The Hebrew word is tour, Toor, and I find it very interesting that that word is very similar to the pronunciation of tourist.
Yet another coincidence
Yeah.
in the divine sphere.
Yeah. So I got a question for you.
Yeah.
When we read about the account, the place that is brought forth of specific that they went to is Hebron and the Eshcol Valley. Your thoughts?
Hebron, the city where I was arrested.
Yeah.
Again, this is also with Rabbi Kahn of restoring Jewish presence to the city. Hebron, Shem, mistakenly called Nablus,
Hmm.
and the Temple Mount are the three specific areas detailed where the children of Israel paid for the deeds to that spot.
Hmm.
So you can say, well, I don't know about this, but those three locations. So Hebron, and Hebron is always considered one of the four holy cities of Judaism. So Hebron is vitally important. And I think it's that connection. I think, when people say, well, Jews came from Europe or they came from the Arab countries, no, we are indigenous
Yeah.
to this land. This is our land.
Yeah. Well, it's to me, it's interesting that they go to Hebron, which of course is the cave of Machpelah, the specific place in which Avram at the time, he's not even Abraham. No, well, yeah, he is. He's Abraham.
Yeah.
He goes there and he purchases that cave, that field, and the spies specifically are told we're told that they went there. You've been to this place that they've excavated. You can see the wall, which is probably the same wall that the 12 tourists went to in that day. And then it says that they went to the Eshcol Valley and that they brought back fruit from there. Now, Hanok, I've been in the Eshcol Valley. Is it possible it looked a little different back then than it does now?
That's a very safe assumption, Mike. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, in the same way that I was asked recently, has Israel, as we were going to Masada, has Israel always been this barren?
Yeah.
No, in the Tanakh, in the Hebrew Bible, it makes it very clear that Israel was heavily forested.
Hmm.
It was heavily deforested at the time of the Ottoman Turks between 1517 and 1917. Today, and also, the years ago, it became a custom for people to donate money in memory of a loss, a loved one who passed away, or someone else who passed away, was to
Yeah.
donate money towards planting a tree in Israel. And I'm so thrilled that our friends from Hayovel
Oh, yeah.
are carrying on that wonderful work. And Israel is the only country in the world that has more trees today than it did at the start of the 20th century.
Mm.
Only country in the world that can make that claim.
Yeah, and
That's
that's
incredible.
that stat is about to be blown through the roof with because of the birth of Nate Waller. Yeah, Nate is in charge of that, and just as a side note for anyone that is has ever donated for planting a tree in Israel, I've done that through. There's organizations there, but I personally would go directly through Hayavel. I think that the money
Absolutely
is
agree.
going to be uh, used a lot better. They don't have the administrative costs that others do, so that's just
And
a
they're
little
also
side note.
planting them in the right places. I saw Nate 3 weeks ago. I was guiding a group from South Africa, and they were planting trees through Hayovel in Ofra
Wow.
in
Yeah, they're
Shomron.
going. I mean,
Fabulous.
I went out on the gator with Nate, and he was showing me what they're doing, and it is overwhelming. And they're not just going in planting pines in various places. They have researched the native trees. They're planting figs and pomegranates, and the technology that they're using, amazing. And my kolokavot
Wonderful work.
to Hayavel, to
Wonderful
the
work.
whole group of guys and ladies over there
Yeah.
that do this. So, Hanok,
Yeah.
we consider Absalom hanged was hanged by the hair in the Kidron Valley, and you're like, well, which bush could he possibly have done that in? There were at the time of David, lions and bears, and you
Yeah.
look around, and it's like, really? So the topography is totally different. It is thought that, and please correct me if my research is faulty, but it is thought that the the area of the Eshkol Valley, the Negev, was providing produce for the then known world.
Listen, it's possible in the same way that we know that our climate is different.
Hmm.
As we're driving down to Ein Gedi, I see the looks on people's faces when I point out that at the beginning of the 20th century, so we're talking about 110, 115 years ago, that was the level of the Dead Sea.
Yeah.
When from Masada, I point down, I said, what looks like a land bridge to Jordan, when I first came to Israel 50 years ago, didn't exist. This was
Oh
all
yeah.
covered with water.
Yeah. Yeah.
So things change. Things have changed. I don't know how we're doing on time. I didn't notice when we started,
Oh,
but I
2
just
minutes.
wanted to make a quick comment. Um, one of the elements of the spies is the quote unquote good report from the land.
Hmm.
And that's the name that I use for my blog, which has been silent for quite a while. Gonna return to that.
I wasn't going to say anything, but
Yeah. Well, yeah, and if memory serves me correct, I think it was you that suggested that name, but okay. In any case, it is really important when it comes to Israel that you find out the facts before you say something that slanders Israel in one way or the other.
yeah.
Give you a quick example, and don't worry, don't grab your desk too tight. I'm not going to actually mention the name of the person, although it's someone we both know. Um, Someone brought up the other day, there was a brief article that Rav Amar, Amar, who's the Sephardic chief rabbi of Jerusalem, used to be the Sephardic chief rabbi of Israel, had come out criticizing those crazies in the Jewish community who've recently been harassing Christian clergy. It's happened a couple of times. People have spit at Christian clergy or defaced the cemetery. The police go after them, they catch them, they punish them, the whole thing. It's not a big issue. No one has gotten killed, no one has gotten hurt. Okay. He then said, I wonder if he would say the same thing about the Messianic community. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, here we go. And I write back and say, well, what is it you're referring to? And when you say the Messianic community, do you mean
Yeah.
here in Israel? Jews, Messianic Jews? Are you talking about the Messianic movement in America? What are you talking about? So he's referring to Messianic Jews, and he says, When I was there in the 90s, there were instances of Messianics being persecuted and having their tires slashed. And I said, your data point is 30 years ago? Because I have to tell you, I'm associated with a lot of people in and around that movement. Nobody has spoken about any instances because there haven't been. But you're pointing to something that happened 30 years ago and stating it as if it's fact today.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, yeah. I mean, just, yeah. I'll leave my thoughts in my own head on that one because
Yeah.
I'd probably get not just you in trouble, but me in trouble too. The good report versus the bad report. I did a little, little blue letter Bible research on this, and I found that the word is kind of interesting when you start looking at the root of it. That they brought back, it says a negative report or a bad report or an evil report in English translations. The best I can see, that the word in Hebrew means a whispering slander.
Yeah.
So
Like,
it wasn't
yeah,
they stood up, in the midst of of Ephraim and Judah, wink wink, standing there with the fruit. They didn't stand up and say, no, disregard. No, they went around it. Here's my speculation, Hanok. They went around and began to whisper in the congregation, into the Hebrews,
absolutely.
and
Classic trash talking.
yeah, the
Absolutely.
standard
No
thing.
doubt.
Okay.
No doubt.
But now here it is. It's Ephraim and Judah that are bringing back the fruit. And here's my last point for you. Save this one to the end. I just heard myself say it on the Living Torah broadcast, which I really, I don't mention my other broadcasts a lot, but I think the message that I did yesterday will be out tomorrow on the Living Torah regarding this is I really challenge people to listen to it because it's relevant for today. Why did they go to the Eshcol Valley? Because this is the place that Abraham was. In fact, when it says Mamre, uh, this is before he was Abraham, when he was Avram. And so
Avram.
this
Yeah.
was the stomping grounds. This is the root. This is our father Abraham's territory. So why is it that they were told to go, or they were directed? However they got there, however they were directed, they got to Jericho, or excuse me, to Hebron. They got to Mamre. They got to the place that their root was, and it
Right.
was at the place of
Roots.
their
All about
root.
roots.
It was at the place
Absolutely.
of their root that they brought forth fruit.
Amen. Can I have a witness?
Yeah.
I love that.
We
It's
need to
true.
be people, Hanok, whether it be of Ephraim, my side of the family, Yehuda, your side of the family. We're both, I believe, in ways being called, and I guess I'll speak more on my side, but I think that this will trickle over onto both sides of the family. We're both being called to go back to our roots and bring forth fruit.
Absolutely, because it's all part of the sorting out process that
Yeah.
we've both touched upon many, many, many times. And I'm
Yeah.
sure many, many more times to come.
Yeah. And so, Ephraim and Judah, this was part of the 12 tourists going in there. We see that Joshua and Caleb coming back, and anytime that Ephraim and Yehuda can work together, there's going to be fruit. And
I
that's,
believe that too.
I think people might consider that there's a reason why we do this broadcast together. Not because we agree on everything, but because we agree on our destination.
And maybe even a little because we're incredibly funny and highly intelligent. Could that be it? I don't know.
Well, I'll I'm not taking a vote.
Okay,
No,
no
no,
need, not
no.
necessary.
We'll just vote between the two of us, and we'll say
Amen.
yes. You got it. All right, man.
No enough.
Take care. We'll see you
Take care. Have
next
a good
week.
one. Bye-bye.